Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Hey.
hey,
Oh, man. Yeah. Hey, we are the Sawyers, and welcome to our Cornerstone Life class every Tuesday at 7, right here in our home, coming to you heart to heart from the Sawyers. Let's see who's here. Let's see who's here, honey. Honey bun. My sissy and my brother-in-law are here. Hey, y'all. Hello, Dee Dee and George. Linda Langdon. Hey, Linda Langdon. Hope you're feeling better, young lady. I'm pretty sure you do by now. Pastor Norman, are you back home? He went to Mississippi. Are you back home yet? It's good to have you here, Pastor Norman. There's Deb. Hey, Deb. And John Grease is in the house. I don't know who else is going to come in here, but I'm glad you guys are here. Hey, there's Sister Sharon. Hey, sweetie pie. I'm glad you're here with us this evening. Hope you guys had a pretty good day so far. It's been a nice day outside. I did some stuff outside today, little moving around outside, cleaning some spider webs. Spider webs are prevalent this time of year,
yeah, bunch of
aren't
them.
they? Right around Halloween time, when it's getting close to Halloween, you have a lot more spider webs. So I had to clean my windows off in the front and got a couple more to do in the back. Pastor Norman said he's back home. Oh, I can't wait to hear what happened while you were in Mississippi and how it went when you did your session. I know it was good. And I know you've got some good things to tell us. And I would let you come on in here tonight and tell us a little bit. What you think, baby?
Yeah, if you could, be fine.
If I send you an email, can you pop in here? I'm going to send you one. I'm going to send you one. Go ahead and talk, sweetie pie, while I do this.
Okay, well, we a little bit quiet, still inside now today. Been kind of like that all day. But it's good to see everybody.
Well, let's see. I got to figure out how I'm going to do it. There it is. We got some other people coming in. Let's see who they are. Carol Seaver. Have we seen you before, Carol? Let me know.
New one.
Please let me know if we've seen you before.
Love is the only answer.
Yeah. All right. I'm sending it to you right now, Pastor Norman, so that we can get you in here with us for a minute. And it should be on the way. Okay, I sent it. I hope you got it. Hope you get it. And you can pop in here whenever you get ready. Yes, Carol Siebert, please tell us where we know you from, if you've been with us before.
It's okay.
And thank you for commenting and showing up, showing yourself, making yourself known here. Thank you so much. And just let us know where you're watching us from and how you heard about us. We always like to know that.
So. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. So we're waiting for Pastor Norman, but in the meantime, we can do our I am affirmations. Hey, Brother Kessler, I'm glad you're here. I've got a puppy dog right here on the side that's begging for this treat, so please excuse me while I give her something. All right. These are I am affirmations, meditations, contemplations, however you want to address it. So if you would, I want you to repeat these after me. We're just going to do a few of them. We won't try to do them all. Just to kind of get ourselves in a position to receive and also to give our minds a different train of thoughts. Because I don't know about you, but when you've been in the workplace all day, and some of you have, when you've been in the workplace all day, you've been interacting with people all day, in and out of, even if it's just family, there is a lot of thoughts that are just running through you, and they're attached to a lot of energies and emotions. So this kind of gets you right in the right position to set the mind aside for just a little bit. The thinking, the monkey mind, that is, and set it aside for just a little bit. Okay, so if you would, I would like for you to just remove all your distractions and just repeat these after me. Okay, let's go. I am complete. Remember, this is the truth of who you are. I am blessed. I am spirit. I am infinite. I am eternal. I am unborn. I am nameless. I am ageless. I am unbound. I am authentic. I am unaffected. I am undisturbed. I am unafraid. I am clear. I am intuitive. I am free. I am timeless. I am unconditioned. I am peace. I am peace, forgiveness. I am non-judgmental. I am all-inclusive. I am indestructible. I am indescribable. I am undefinable. I am formless. I am everywhere present. I am the knower. I am unattached. I am unlimited. I am love. I am truth. I am life. I am all potential. I am that I am. And so it is. And so it is.
I am is thatness,
Yes.
isness,
Yes.
alwaysness,
Yes. Yes.
foreverness,
Yes.
no disappearingness, but yet visibleness, and yet not seen, but is recognizable.
Yes. Yes. Hello, Pastor Norman.
Well, hey there, Mom and Dad. How y'all doing?
When did you get back from Mississippi?
Last night.
Last night. Oh,
Okay.
wow. That's a long trip, but it was a good trip.
It was an amazing trip. An amazing trip. so much happened. So much was revealed. It was, I would have to say, it was a trip that we was meant to be on.
Well, good, good, good. So you had to speak. Which day did you have to speak?
Well, actually, I was only actually supposed to speak to the pastors. I'm trying to hit my phone, do not disturb. So if somebody call, it won't kick me
Okay,
out.
okay.
So,
And,
but
and while you're doing that, I'll
I'm
just let
good
them know.
now. I just
Yeah,
set it up.
yeah.
But
Some,
yeah,
some, yeah. Just before you get started, I just wanted to say that some of you who may not know Pastor Norman is our spiritual son. He's been with us since he was in college. Actually started out with us when he was in college, just a little spring chicken, and
When he was,
attended our church. And actually he and what they call the posse all attended the church. It was a bunch of the young kids come over and they would spend time with us here at the house, and they just glean. That's all they did. But Pastor Norman is also now in South Carolina and has his own ministry there, which is Bold Ministries, and is a pastor himself. And so we've stayed in touch. We've always had that
he
connection.
wouldn't even need how to a duck clever.
that's
but
it's funny
so but
because
those,
of the
yeah.
picture back then.
So for those of you who didn't know him, this is Pastor Norman Armstrong. Okay, now go
Hey,
ahead. Go ahead.
everybody. Hello. Yeah, and I joined Cornerstone in 1986.
Yeah.
That's how
Ooh,
long I've known
ooh,
you guys.
it's
Yeah,
a long
Mhm.
time. Yeah.
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 But yeah,
1986.
it was a leadership conference, pastors leadership, pastors ministers leadership conference. I actually was not one of quote unquote the guest speaker when they were, putting everything together. They just happened to connect with me by reaching out concerning Kalante. They wanted to get him to come and sing at the church, and then
Okay.
they asked me if I would encourage the pastors doing a luncheon on Friday. And so that's what I was asked to do from just that little conversation. And she found out that I was not leaving until Monday. And so I was asked to preach on Sunday morning as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
Okay.
had two assignments while I was there, but it was exciting. It was something that was ordered to connect with other leaders and certainly pastors who, once again, are dealing with the challenges of all that has happened with the pandemic. I pretty much doing the lunch, and I just wanted to talk to them. So I said, "Nah, y'all. It's one thing to preach to preachers, so I'm not going to preach to preachers. Y'all been exposed. Everybody here at this table know how to preach and stuff like that. But I just was open to them about a lot of things that we talked about on impromptu, and I shared with them again what happened to me in the pandemic, where it was actually a great and favorable time for me. Yes, I lost loved ones in the midst of the pandemic. I lost
Mhm.
members of the church in the pandemic, but even in spite of all of that, it was a time where I was going through the process of awakening and being enlightened about so many things about me,
Yeah.
and even being in ministry. This year actually is 40 years of ministry for me. um
Wow. Wow.
November will be 24 years of pastoring.
Okay.
So, of course, those that have been exposed to the Christian culture, the church, and all the things that when we go and desire to see a move of God, we've witnessed the miracles and all the great events. And so, when you are the vessel that's being used for that, to hear the Lord say, in all of that was going on, you yourself was in prison, you was in confinement, not me knowing all these great things were happening, but I was doing it from a place of trying to satisfy the expectations and the projections and opinions that people were projecting on me as what a quote unquote preacher, pastor, apostle is actually supposed to be doing. And so
Mhm,
I shared with
mhm.
them, I wanted them to be mindful that they would not lose themselves in ministry.
Yes.
And so there's so many leaders who are walking away from the pulpit, from their churches. I want to say walk away from whatever assignment that they may have felt that the Lord had on their
Yeah.
lives, all because they've lost themselves. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
something that once brought joy to their life has now been very difficult and very frustrating. And so I was sharing with them my own personal, I would like to say, deliverance, that in spite of all of that, I was, again, one of the most known revivalists in the area, along with so many others, because of the circle that I once traveled with and so forth. And when the pandemic hit, of course, being in full-time ministry, first thing come to your mind, oh, the doors of the church is closed. That means no revivals, no conferences, all the places I used to preach and stuff. Where the finance is going to come? This was my occupation. And we know there are two different thoughts in the church. Some say your pastor, you should take good care of your pastor. And matter of fact, a man of God preached that on how to honor your leader, your pastor in the church. And he even made the statement, there's some people that say, well, he's a man and a woman just like me. They need to get a job. So of course they didn't understand, they don't understand the culture and understand that this, what we do is actually a job. So the same way you pay therapists and counselors and psychiatrists, take care of your man or woman of God. All right. But they were blessed. I saw a lot of them needed healing, like so many leaders right now, because I just had a conversation with one of the an apostle who lives in Houston on today, where they felt like they might have missed God or let God down.
Okay. I think that's a prevalent thought for some who after the pandemic didn't recover what they had before the pandemic.
We were just talking about that today.
A lot of them have not. And I'm noticing that even here, I'm seeing more churches put on their signage outside. They went strictly viral.
Yes.
So they don't even gather. And because
yes.
we're hearing again the increase of COVID, another strand that they have not figured out as of yet. And so a lot of them have not been able to recover. And it's strange because me and Laverne actually talked about this. At one time in ministry, there was a trend that you could pinpoint. Now you can't, you can't track no pin, because the one church, everybody is coming back, and the church right down the street, they prefer bedside Baptist. So, you know,
yes. Exactly. And I think that's because there are actually two, maybe more than two, but I know there are two groups that we're talking about. There's the group that went to church, and I remember years ago he had the audacity to ask this question while we were having church. He asked them, "Why do you come to church?" And that's a loaded question, and it's open for any kind of an answer. And there was one person, and Sister Sharon knows this, her mom, Mama Essie, who's now crossed over on the other side and probably our angel now. She said this, and it was the most honest answer. She said, because of habit. And
she said that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so I know there's the group that goes to church because it is habit. And then there's another group who goes to church because they feel if they don't get there, they're not going to emotionally survive. Exactly. And so, so the ones who feel that I will not emotionally survive, they will bust the doors down and go back into the building. But those who have been there for habit will, like you said, love bedside Baptist.
Now, it's funny that you mentioned that, because that's actually the conversation that I had with, like I said, an apostle today. He asked me the question, and he shared with me concerning, have you ever been in a place where you wasn't reading the scriptures as much as you used to read them, pray like you used to pray? You know, he went down his whole routine, what he would do soon as he wake up, all this stuff like that. And so I'm actually waiting to give the answer, because of course we all have been in that place where You know, one time we did a whole lot of studying, reading the scriptures,
Yeah.
praying, and it was a routine. It was
Sure.
a little routine, a habit that we created for ourselves. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden we got to this place where I'm not doing as much studying, I'm not
Mhm.
doing as much praying. And
Mhm.
he was saying it made him feel like he was drifting away from God. And
Mhm.
so I said, not so. That is not true. And I said, let me explain something to you. I asked the
Mhm.
question, would you consider yourself to be a Bible scholar and a student of the word? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay. So let me help you understand something. I said, if you think about how many times you've been to church, how many messages you have heard, how many preachers you have been exposed to, you pretty much have probably heard some of the same stuff over and over and over again,
Yeah. Yeah.
countless times. All
Sure.
right. So
Sure.
now I said, one of the things you got to understand in your process of developing and becoming more aware of who you are in God and God in you. I said, remember, the Bible tells us that the word became flesh and dwelt among us.
Yes.
So I said, I
Wow.
want you to understand there are times where God has to break and interrupt our routine to help
Mhm.
us to understand that in the process of us evolving, it won't be done through cumulative knowledge where you will gain it from hearing a lot of preaching or you studying. I said, remember, Paul even stated that there was many that are forever learning but never coming to the knowledge
Yeah.
of the truth.
Also the truth.
And so
Exactly.
I said, I went through that, especially in the pandemic, where it wasn't me doing a whole lot of reading and studying. It was me sitting and listening.
Mhm.
That if you was a fly on the wall and I'm in the house by myself, people would have thought I'm crazy because I'm so walking around having a literal conversation with God. And there was so much that he revealed to me. So I reminded him of Matthew 16, where again, Dad makes reference to it quite often when Jesus asked the disciples, whom do men say that I am? And they
Mhm.
all gave their answers based off of what they heard the crowd say, whatever. And then he asked the next question, now who do you say that I am? And
And
so both,
that's very interesting, Pastor Norman, because a lot of us really don't know who we are until what we do is snatched away from us.
and I shared that.
And so we get caught up with what we do and think that is what we are. But in actuality, that is simply a function. And when that's taken away, we think it's God working against us. But in fact, God is using grace and I'll call it acid grace, using acid grace to remove that is not you so that you can get a glimpse of that you are.
And he is now finding out that he is that was being sought and read upon,
Mhm.
and is now understanding the depth of his ego.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
I
Yes.
used to wouldn't say that because I said, the meditation now, that he meditated upon has now resurrected.
Mm,
Exactly.
mm.
And
So yeah.
his consciousness now is trying to, uh, well, I would say consciousness, I would say his false consciousness is now realized, and he can't, it can't find a reason to continue to exist.
So would you say, Pastor Norman, that during the pandemic, and that was just a tool that was used, but during the time that the functioning role was taken away, would you say there was something that died and then there was something that resurrected or something was
Oh,
born?
absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, my personal thing, I felt like, and Dad talks about all the time that I think he called it that the doer or
The
whatever.
doing.
I feel like
Non-doing,
I
Mhm.
always had to keep doing this and this
Doing.
and this and
the
this and
doing,
this to
non-doing.
please God. And if I didn't do it, God was going to be angry.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
when all of this happened, first thing we have to realize, and I want all these spiritualists to understand, ain't no devil had nothing to do with the pandemic. Ain't
Mhm.
no
Mhm.
devil had nothing. Again, if we serve a
Yeah.
God that knows all things and all things were predestined, then this time was already predetermined before the foundation of the world that this event would occur. All right.
I heard a sage say this: who but God could shut down an entire world
Wow. Wow.
at one time?
Yeah. And it had to be God. It could have been the enemy. And so I shared with them that I got to a place where even what you would consider success in ministry, it was actually stressful.
Mhm.
And so when God shut down everything,
We talk about that all the time.
We've been saying it all.
so much stressful, so much headache, because you didn't realize, again, going back to that place of confinement, you didn't realize you was trying to please everybody and meet everyone's needs and so forth and so on.
Yes, and everybody thinks you ought to have all the answers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there was a preacher, oh my God, who preached, and I'm gonna say his name is Bishop Weems. He preached to the leaders a message that was very well needed. Matter of fact, y'all know me, I'm a note taker, so I take notes. And so I want to get the exact title of the message, because it was literally, I mean, mind-boggling. And so he has spoke from the title of the message. Here it go. The stress of the journey. They use as a subtopic, the transporter. And one of the things he gave four stresses that happens, and he used Moses from Numbers 11 verses 9 through 15, where he talks about, and I love how he started off. The first stress was being hired for the job when you never put in the application.
Yeah, you were drafted, actually.
Exactly. And boy, he hit us hard and fast with that one, because I say it all the time. Y'all don't understand. I've been doing something that I never asked to do. It was never on. I never had any plans of pastoring nobody.
We didn't either. We didn't either.
Yeah. And so when he said that, we all began to chuckle. So he was talking about how Moses went through all of that stress with the people complaining and murmuring, and Moses, you brought us out here to die, and so forth. So he was talking about how Moses was having a conversation with God, and he was so stressed that he said, God, take me now, kill me now. I can't handle all of this. And so I didn't give birth to all of these people and so forth. The second stress was transporting passengers who was always looking in the rearview mirror. As he talked about how they kept complaining about they were better off in Egypt. They was reminded of the meat and stuff that they ate because God had given them manna, and so forth and so on. Number three was the relationship that the boss requires you to have with those you are transporting. And so he was talking about the relationship that we are supposed to once again build with those that we are actually leading, become very stressful. And number four was listening to people that are being transported. And so he was talking about the backseat driver and so forth and so on.
Here's a good one. You cannot be resurrected unless the nail's been driven into your hand and the scar in your side and the thorns around your thinking or the thought thinking self. There's no resurrection without those marks. That is an indication that you are Christ is resurrected. Here's another one. Christ is no religion, no job, no identity, no coming or going. Thou art the Christ. When he said that, thou art the Christ, he was saying we are that undefinable self.
Yes.
No title, no label, no instructions. You're the mystical side of eternal essence.
Now that appeals to me as a soul, but it does not appeal to my monkey mind when we've taken on an identity and we think that's what we are, and all of a sudden it's snatched away. When it's snatched away, the ego has a fit, doesn't it?
Here's another one. When you're preaching nobody interrupts you. But all of a sudden, you lose that, and once in a while, you'll get a chance to speak like you did with no interruption. But now that you are home, interruptions is the same experience that the woman had the issue of blood experience. Your interruption will cause you to see now the hem of the garment. The hem of the garment. Now you understand that interruptions are divinely ordered.
Yes, and that's, it's funny that you say that, because it's almost like y'all was part of the whole thing, because that's what I told them. Certain things, because I went through the stripping process, and we talked a lot about that. And I began to share with them. I said, what if I share with them what the Lord had said to me that morning when I woke up? Who am I if I wasn't no longer the pastor of Bold Ministries International?
Exactly.
Who would I be without the woman that I'm married to? Who would I be without the money that I have, the car that I drive, the house? Who would I be at my core? And when I said that to them, it hit them like,
yes,
to the point they were like, I got to talk to you.
Yes, because we have spent, and I say we, I mean most of us, 99% of us, 99.99% of us have spent our whole lives building an image and trying our best to live up to that image. And when it is somehow distorted or removed, we don't have a clue as to what we are and how to function. Because at that point, if I associated being a pastor with a building and now the building is gone, what am I? If I associated myself as a musician and I play the piano, this is just an illustration, and now my fingers no longer work, what am I? Am I still a musician? What am I? So what we do cannot be the defining element of what we are. Exactly. It's like a mother, a woman who's a mother who has children. When those children are not there with her, she's not a mother. Because the mother is the function.
Exactly.
Yes. So that's a great conversation to have. A great conversation to have.
And see, for so many leaders that have went through that may have lost builders. I mean, do the people even imagine what they're dealing with within themselves, that have not awakened to the fact that they are more than what the building offered or what the world offered, or
more than positionality.
Yes, more than positionality.
The depth of positionality.
Yes. And positionality can be even more than, it can be even a little less important than that.
Positionality could be, I'm a husband, I got a wife,
I'm a woman,
I'm a woman, I'm a man.
Do you know how many people are fighting because they're a woman or not a woman? I mean, you can take a position on anything.
Hey, you're the rabbit, the coon, and the dog chasing the rabbit and the coon. You're the possum up in the tree.
I ain't want to be no possum.
No.
Well, you might be a possum or a possum, but anyway, the tree that the possum is in is who you are, and the coon and the dog chasing, and the one that owns the dog and trying to get the coon.
Now, this thing about positionality, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you guys took it in this direction, because I've watched a lot of, I'll use women, for example, who had children, and they had made the determination they were going to be the best mothers, the best mother. And they wrapped their entire life up in the children and tried to live their life through the children. And ultimately what happens is the children become resentful of being overshadowed, smothered to death, and controlled, and they rebel and defy everything that woman tries to do. And then the woman is devastated. because
Mhm.
all she believes she is a mother.
Mhm. And not realizing that, especially to the point when that child has grown to a place where they now need to find their identity and stuff because of the, like, yeah, and I love that word you said, that smothering. They feel so
Mhm,
suffocated,
mhm.
and that's why a lot of them resent them, because
Yes.
you're not letting me live, you're not letting me to develop. You
Mhm,
still want to
mhm.
be my mother. You
Yeah.
can't
Here
be.
here it is. Here it is. You are now ready to see the Christ in explicit detail.
Mm, mm,
You are the details of Christ
mhm,
with the
mhm,
name
mhm.
now, not Jesus, but the name that was given to you
Yes, yes,
or given to the body,
yes.
given to the body, like
Mhm.
Jesus was given, name was given to his
Like
body.
Norman Christ,
Yeah.
Clifton
His
Christ,
name is now Norman Sawyer Christ.
Now,
Kathy
yeah,
Christ,
now it's funny.
Donovan Christ, Jill
It,
Christ,
Mhm.
it's
Linda
funny that
Christ.
you shared it, because you know how we normally end our prayers, or when we pray for somebody, we say in the name of Jesus.
In
I
the name
saw
of
myself
Norman,
changing from saying that. I would say
in the name of
in
me.
in the name of Jesus the Christ.
The
I would
Christ,
say the Christ,
the
because
Christ.
I'm actually working on a series, and I'm gonna just say it. It don't matter. The revelation of Christ, not the revelation of
Mhm.
Good,
Jesus,
good,
the
good,
revelation
good,
of
good.
Christ, because there's a great misunderstanding again
A
of how
great
we're
book.
presenting Jesus. And
Mhm.
so at this
Mhm.
stage, right now, after his
Mhm.
resurrection, we ain't supposed to be talking about Jesus. We're supposed to
Right,
be talking about the Christ,
the
which
Christ.
is us.
Yes,
Now we
yes,
are
yes.
once you see life, you will not go back to death.
Mhm.
But death will be fully implemented and
Mhm.
defined as one of the greatest assets that a Christ could wake up to.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
So the light is now shining in darkness, and what's it? The light comprehend not, or the darkness
The
comprehend not.
the darkness
The
Okay,
comprehend
here we
darkness,
go.
not.
darkness
Then
comprehend not.
you are comprehending both
Mhm,
as the same,
mhm.
and you're now sitting at the table with all the different parts called the disciples. You are every one of the disciples
Mhm,
that sit around the table.
mhm.
You're not only the sitting around the table, you're the chairs, the table itself.
Yeah.
Now you expanded consciousness is beginning to reveal who is doing all the talking. Like, good morning, hello, thank you. Well, I think I have to go to the store. Need to get some gas in the car. Uh-oh.
Mhm.
Now you hearing the Christ saying in your form
Yeah.
what needs to be done at this moment.
Mhm,
The
mhm.
moment has now arrived with you as it.
Mhm.
You are the moment of God.
For those of you who may have just come in, this is Pastor Norman joining us tonight. He's a pastor in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. He's our spiritual son, and we just wanted him to come in here to give us some insight about what he experienced. And he was in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Is that
And
where
we
you
got
were?
another one coming on here too.
That's it.
Yeah, Vicksburg.
Yeah. Dale.
In fact, Linda says, "What trouble did you get into while you were in Vicksburg?"
I didn't I didn't get into no trouble, Linda. I was good. I was good.
Your name is
And I wanted to say, yeah, let you guys know that if you just came in, we are all pastors. Uh, Pastor and I, my husband and I, more so now in just virtually, and so we this is what enlightened pastors talk about.
Mhm.
We don't declare ourselves as spiritual sages. We don't declare ourselves as spiritual teachers. We are simply letting you in on our own spiritual journey and our self-discoveries. And so that's what you're hearing. This is how enlightened pastors begin to talk when they start breaking out of the confines of religion and beginning to see themselves in another light. And that's what's
And
happening.
we're not saying you all these things from an ego statement. No, the statement may sound to some minds that we are saying we are the blaspheming side of being Christ. No, we're not. That side is no longer a threat to us because we have settled the dust. That is something I had in my notes. Once you discover this, you will no longer have arguments and debates about the Bible or people. There's people that come online that will cut your throat just like it did back in the days when they tortured Christianity. They are still torturing Christianity by debates, arguments about what the Word of God is. If you discover the truth of beingness, there will no longer be any arguments or debates or challenges to prove anything.
Yes.
And that is so good, because that is mentioned in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, where there is strife and envy and all of that going on. It is an indication that you're operating from that carnal or egotistical self.
That's right.
Because if you were spiritual, there would be no arguments, there would be no debates. You just is.
Pastor, I say this like this. Okay, here it is. Let's just get down to brass tacks and nails, okay? I am saved. God is in me. Christ is my everything. Shut your fat mouth. You know why I say that? Go find you a 50-foot water hose and 50 golf balls and suck every last one of them through it, because you are contradicting your identity. Here it is. If you are complete in him, why are you still asking for more to come, looking for more to come, going to church on Sunday, looking for God, and then all of a sudden you turn around and say, God showed up, and when you get out, we had a high time. Thank you.
Dad, you see what I'm doing, right? You see what I'm doing, right, Dad? If I can throw this and hit you right now, we hit one another now, because I said those exact things Sunday. The exact word came out of my mouth.
Who is this?
It's interesting because you said this. We are completing him, but do you realize there are a lot of people who have followed the Christian path who do not know that?
They don't want. Their mind is blocked out.
They've never even heard it, because all they've been taught is you've got to struggle to get a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Or you've got to pray until you get God's attention.
Breakthrough. What is that?
But it says here in Colossians 2, it says in the 9th verse, for in him dwells all the fullness of the Godhead bodily, and you are complete in him, which is you're complete in him. You're complete, but in him, which is the head of all principality and power.
Yes. Oh, one of my old mentors used to say, when we were juniors, he said, "You ain't there yet." I would say, "Well, hell, when I'm going to get there?"
Well, listen. Yeah. Larry says, Norma, what would it be? What would happen if you said in the nature of Jesus the Christ?
It's the same. It's the same. And the reason why that shift has occurred, because of erroneous teaching, not investigating in the spirit. It has nothing to do with name at all. It has to do with the essence, the nature.
Yes, essence is the key.
So what we are seeing in so-called, I don't even just want to say church circles, religious circles.
Yeah.
There is no expressing or exhibiting Christ. You're presenting. That's why I don't like when people say I'm a Christian or without knowing what that really means. They're saying it from religious conditioning. That is, you're speaking as though it's a religion, but it's actually a descriptive word that goes
Yeah.
beyond religion to identify who you represent, who you
Yes.
really are.
Yeah.
If Jesus is the Christ and we're one with him, then we are Christ as well, which means
Exactly.
Christian.
Exactly. And Carlton Pearson, one who is, I'd say, a pioneer in the sense that he stretched out beyond the confines of religion and dared to say things that the church could not handle. Organized fundamental Christianity could not handle it. And only the mystics could handle it. Only the Christian mystics could handle it. And he said this, that those that the mind that has these ideas of being in a label of Christianity, he wrote a book. He said Jesus was not a Christian. Jesus was not a Christian.
Let me tell you an experience.
And that doesn't mean he didn't have the same principles, but it meant that he didn't label himself in a religion.
Let me tell you something that happened in experience yesterday. I just finished the construction of a 10-wheel folding tricycle. I was coming up the street on my trike, and this big tractor and trailer flatbed was sitting on the left side of the street, waiting, looking at me coming up the road on a 10-wheel bicycle trike. And they were trying to figure out what it was. And they had stopped there and was waiting. And when I got closer, I waved at them because they're working on the construction of land down the street from us on the right. They're getting ready to build another house. So he was sitting there, and I've been wanting to talk to them about coming to my garage to see some of the toys that I've made that they own. This man, one man I talked to, when I pulled up beside the truck, he opened his window and got out. I said, I want to talk to you. He come down. His buddy said, I was wondering, what was that coming up the street? I ain't never seen that. I said, okay, here it is. And they got out, and I said, come to my garage. I want to show you something. Now, long story short, here's what happened. While he was standing there looking at the toys and taking pictures of it and the trike, I was impressed to tell him, I said, sir, I said, do you own all of this equipment? He said, yeah, all the bulldozers, the tractor trailers, the bulldozers, the heavy equipment. I said, how long you been there? He said, ever since I was young, which he wasn't but 54. And he owned all of this. And he said, yes, you're right. I said, what you mean? When I said to him, there was a place in his life since he owned all of this that he liked to lost every bit of it. Every bit of it. I said, you about lost it. He said, yeah. He said, I went to the hospital. There's a lung condition that I have that they thought it was going to take me out, but I'm still here. I said, that's correct. And I had a chance to meet, they was greasy. Their hands were dark as the shirt I got on. These were words I don't like to use. White men who would look like black men because they were so dirty. They looked like they was from Africa, as dark-skinned people.
Like the actors used to do when they would paint their faces black when they were playing black people, because they wouldn't let black people act.
Back in the tap dancing days,
they would pretend they were black people and have white mouths.
Yeah, and they call them the white mouth muse. But anyway, they were standing there, and I had a chance to meet Jesus in their name,
Christ,
the Christ. I met the Christ, and they were men on a low level, but they own great machinery. They asked me, was I an engineer? I said, no, I'm not any of those titles anymore. But now I was them talking to my Christ self, from one Christ to another. The Christ in me speaks to the Christ as you. I'm not telling you, I don't have to use the word God anymore. I don't have to be threatened or intimidated anymore. It is finally the truth realized and settled in my essence that you and I are the same universal self. Christ.
Yes.
Yes.
You guys, we've been talking, and I know that you guys are listening.
Yes.
Let us know if there's anything that we're saying that is resonating with
Please
you.
respond to us.
Just let us know if you're still there. Pastor Norman, thank you for joining us tonight. I know this is an impromptu, but it's good. It's good, and I would like to hear more about it. So listen, we're almost out of time, and I want to let you guys know, those of you who don't tune in to us on Thursdays, if you're available. Are you available on Thursday, Pastor Norman, like we normally do?
Oh yeah, I would be.
At 12:30.
We'll be doing an impromptu on Thursday. We normally do it every Thursday with Pastor Norman at 12:30. So I just wanted to remind you guys of that. But yeah, this is great. We always have the best conversations.
Let me share this with you. In the 16th chapter of Luke, it said this.
You're gonna let him say
Wait a
anything.
minute. Hold on for a second. It said, and in the 22nd verse, it said, and the beggar died and was carried.
Yeah.
The rich man died and he was in another place. How can you not see, if you believe in the book, or what the book say, that what died was not the real them? It was the body that stopped because they left it. And what was it that left it? It was the true essence. The Christ self is that part of all of us that can never die and never be nailed to the stake.
Yeah, true.
Now, I'm done.
Linda says those other pastors were blessed to have you there, Pastor Norman.
Oh, I appreciate that, Sister Linda.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Thank
throw this curveball real quick because I've been hearing
All
this
right.
repetitively as we've been on this. I hear that we are to be obedient unto death, just like Jesus. Not just to, this is for everybody, but to especially to leaders. What they do not understand in the shift that has occurred, for us to truly experience a resurrection, like Mom, you said earlier, something has to die. And so what's going to happen to a lot of these leaders, and I want them to understand what's happening, it's not that you're failing, it's not that you missing God. Remember, the same people that Jesus performed miracles, he healed, he delivered them, he set them free, were the same people that turned around and said, crucify him. So what I want them to understand, you're going to see your congregation become just like that crowd of people. You've been a blessing to those people. You've been there for those people. You prayed with them and help pray through some of the stuff they was going through. And them same people are going to be the ones that turn around and say, crucify him or crucify her. Why? Because you have to die in order for the authentic self to be resurrected.
And you know, there's other scriptures that talk about the seed has to go into the ground and die before it can sprout and bring forth life. And that's exactly what has to happen. Linda, that was in Colossians 2, not Corinthians 2, but Colossians 2, verses 9 and 10. And actually, you can read more than that. You can go on down to the 12th verse where it says, we were buried with him.
All we're doing is finding words to describe the indescribable.
Yes.
And that indescribableness is called indescribably delicious.
Oh, wow. This is good. This is so good. Thank you, Pastor Norman, for joining us tonight. We're going to take off here in a moment. And like I said, we'll be back on Thursday at 12:30 with Impromptu with Pastor Norman, have another conversation. And I'm just glad that you had a great time in Vicksburg and things turned out the way.
Can I share just a little tiny bit?
Yeah.
I was taken to a room and a place in the heavenlies inside the Christ self. I was at a table waiting for the contract that I agreed to follow through with in this world dimension. I didn't know that I had to go through each assignment that was digested and made into the form of a Christ identity. I looked at this paper. A paper was slid out in front of me like a contract. and my vision, my whole body, spirit self, Christ self, could read what was on the contract that was in supernatural fine print. I looked at it and I knew that whenever somebody put a paper, you go to the doctor, you sign, you put that paper out. It's a paper they sign for what they want you to sign in the doctor's office, non-contestable or something like that against the treatment. Or, you have to sign on
Or
that.
privacy, like
Yeah.
I understand what you're
Okay.
saying. Go ahead.
So anyway, I got ready to sign, and the hand of God came from my right side, the right hand of the throne, and it spoke when it said, I looked at it and I said, I cannot, this I said, fulfill this obligation and the responsibility of the fine print on this contract. That hand came out and spoke and said, you will not have to fulfill it. I will be you fulfilling it through and in and by you. And he took his hand with a stamp on it, and blood was out of the side of his hand, and he stamped it. And it said, when he raised it up, the blood of Jesus will fulfill it through you.
Wow.
That dying to the ego will be stamped out by supernatural insight and revelation.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what I saw.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's it. It's effortless down through the solar plex area. The solar plex finally that was twisted, relaxed. We often demonstrated, and what we used to when we took our handkerchief and we did it like this. Stress is this. Stress relieve and no more ego is this. You go limp. That is the day of resurrection experience.
Yes. So I can say this, that there are many, many things that are being used
Glory be to God.
for all of us to come to
Glory
that
be to
awakening of who we truly are. And
Glory
it is
be to
not,
God.
when you come into that awakening, it is not
Thank you.
what I want to call a spiritual phenomenon, in the sense of you feel like you got a halo, or you feel like you can float in the air, or you have an altered state, constant bliss. It's not that. It is a very, very natural feeling of just being here and being alive, and knowing that you're being taken care of, and knowing that your life is orchestrated. It is not some woo-woo feeling. It is not that. But a lot of people, I think, are still looking for that, and think that that is going to be the final awakening. But it is not that. It's all the way back to how you felt when you was a little boy, how you felt when you was a little girl, all the way back to that state of innocence, all the way back to that state of wide-eyed expectation and curiosity and vibrancy. It's all the way back to that.
When you put a bag of popcorn in the microwave oven to pop, he said to me in room 225 in Fort Payne, Alabama, he said, I don't want you to pray all day, 6 hours a day. He said, I want you to walk around the room and notice the germination of the seeds in your belly. And it's like popcorn, pop, 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 pop. These are revelatory insight. Oh, these are aha moments, and they're popping. And he said, your stomach, your belly, out of your belly shall flow rivers of popcorn explosions. Inside. It's popcorn explosion in your belly.
Tell my wife that you love popcorn.
Pastor Norman, can you put on there what your Cash App is? I'm going to put ours up, but I wanted you to do that as well, in case somebody would like to bless you, and just because of your coming on tonight. And we want to thank you guys for blessing us and for sending in your tithes, your offerings to Cornerstone. Of course, you can do that through the website, which is thecornerstonelifecenter.com. And you can just hit the donate button, and there it goes. And then you can use the text, which is CLC Greensboro to 73256, or you can use paypal.me/cornerstone35. And if you want to, you just mail it. P.O. Box 36259, Greensboro, North Carolina, 27416. And of course, you guys who bless Pastor and I, that's Cash App $A Sawyer C. And Pastor Norman, I can type yours in if you'll tell us what it is.
It's simple. $ Apostle Armstrong. All lowercase letters.
Okay, I'm gonna put it up.
Sound like we popping, don't it?
Yep, we popping.
It sound like we popping.
Popping.
Popcorn popping in the belly.
Is that all caps? I mean one cap and then all small letters.
$, Apostle Armstrong, all lowercase letters.
That it? Is that it?
That's it. That's it.
All right.
On this cup that I'm drinking out of, it said, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalms 46:10.
Confirmation.
I got a cup. Be still. It's made out of steel cup. And I tell you, when you put water in it, it gets cold, but you have to stay with it.
It's like those old timey tumblers. You remember them?
You have to stay with it because steel ain't like that old iron stuff. This stuff is tough. It's rough.
Is it steel or is it aluminum?
Well,
I remember, Dad, when you introduced us to the pewter cup.
Yes, I still have it.
Yes. Look at that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It pewter absorbs whatever's inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like cumin, that the herb or vitamin called cumin.
Cumin?
Yeah, it's cumin. It's just yellow, orange.
That's turmeric, honey.
Turmeric, cumin, turmeric mixed together.
Stainless steel, Jason says.
We
love you too, Linda. We love you guys so much. We could talk all night to Pastor Norma, but we're gonna take
popping, don't it?
Yes, it does. And thank you, Jill. Jill always posts how to give in the comment section. Thank you guys so much. Let us know how this blessed you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good night.